PigMonkey, and welcome to Geeks versus Nerds, the debate-style program where we investigate topics no one else has the guts, tenacity, or interest to investigate. The object of the show is simple: secure the title for your team's candidate using facts, obscure knowledge, and trash talk. Tonight, it's Avatar versus Harry Potter on Geeks versus Nerds! An open letter to M. Night Shyamalan. Dear M. Night, what happened after Unbreakable, man? Were you abducted and replaced? Now, I didn't like it, but I was willing to let bygones be bygones. I mean, they're your movies. Who am I to tell you how to do it? But then you open fire on something I care about, Avatar. The last airbender, not the giant blue anthrocat Avatar. Did you not watch the show? Did you hate the show so much that you had to ruin it for everybody in the movie? I mean, it was such a great series. It was well written and funny. Didn't you watch the show? Aang, not Ong, has a blue arrow on his head that always points down so that no matter which way he's facing, he can always find his penis. But does that make him the Messiah that most successfully held back the darkness? You ever think that if Harry Potter's foster parents weren't such dicks, the story would have been entirely different? I really like the theory that Harry wasn't the chosen one at all. It was always Neville Longbottom. So Dumbledore hits on the idea of making Neville useless. And then he invests all of his effort and attention in Harry so that Voldemort does too. He gets whacked by Big V, and Neville gets the backstab. Now that would have made an interesting story. I would have written Harry Potter entirely differently. First of all, where the hell was children's services when Harry Potter was sleeping under the stairs? Nothing in this world. No magic, no team of investigators, no unreasonably popular house elves would be able to find Harry, proving that not even the sword of Gryffindor can cut red tape. Harry Potter is at least partially responsible for the destruction of high school property, but does that make him the more successful magic messiah to hold back the darkness? That's what we're here to find out. Let's meet the geeks and nerds. For Aang the Avatar, Team Nerd, and your nerd herder, he is the human equivalent of Appa, giant, furry, and undeniably lovable. It's Stephen Heisler. She learned at an early age that if accompanied by a giggle and a pretty smile, people will pretty much let you say whatever you want. It's your friendly neighborhood heartbender, Christy Lee. His underlying goal in life is to dress dapper all the time and have a suit for any occasion. He's known to his friends by many names, but the rest call him Trevor Batson. And for Harry Potter, Team Geek, and your geek leader, it's Dave Conrad! He has, on more than one occasion, canceled the date to play video games. His beard is 2-part magical and way cooler than your mom. It's Brian MacQuarrie! He played D&D until 3 a.m., then ran 10 kilometers dressed as a robot clock tower. He's the man who would feel like a hypocrite if he ever had to tell his children they have to get their priorities straight. What would Lenny do? It's Lenny Langton! fellow geeks and nerds. Geeks, you have 2 minutes. Please explain to me why Harry is the magic messiah who most successfully held back the darkness. Begin.
Harry needed less than a year to stop Voldemort, which is pretty fucking amazing.
Harry Potter equals magic. He uses a wand, he casts spells. If you stop anyone in the street and ask them, name me a person that's a magical person, they're going to answer Harry Potter.
The magic spells in the Harry Potter universe can do pretty much anything. You need a spell to get a guy dead, you have a Vada Kedavra. You need to turn a chicken into a strainer, you have some Feraverto spell. It can turn into whatever other you want. You're feeling a little bit randy, like 2 a.m., you have a bottle of lube. You can use this spell I found called Humidum Polum, which roughly translates to moist chicken. Jesus. Should have seen that one coming.
If you look at the word Messiah, the dictionary definition says that it's an expected deliverer. Everyone believed that Harry Potter was the answer. He was going to save them all. Even when he told his best friends he had no goddamn clue what the hell he was doing, they went, sure you don't, and followed him anyways. I mean, that's the kind of blind faith that only a Messiah can aspire, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it worked okay for Harry Potter, but the people that swallowed the purple Kool-Aid, not so well.
Moving over to the nerds. Nerds, same question. Please explain to me why Aang is the magic messiah who most successfully held back the darkness. You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Aang is actually the chosen one, and in terms of a messiah, he's beaten out Jesus here, because he did it at 12, whereas Jesus did it at 35.
When we look at the Avatar has lived hundreds of lifetimes over thousands of years. His very title means that he is destined to save the world, bring balance to everything, every single goddamn time.
Imagine a planet covered in fire with everything on fire all the time, ruled by fiery people with fiery fire in their fire. That planet would be Pompeii-alicious. That would have been the fate of the world if Aang had not been there to avatar that back into place. Thank you.
I would also like to add that at the age of 12, Aang mastered 4 types of elemental magic. When I was 12, I only mastered debating. What? I'm a good debater. I'm a master debater.
All right. Thank you very much. Okie dokie.
Can we have our tokens?
All right. I suppose I should hand out tokens. So, for Harry Potter, we have a lightning bolt that belongs on his forehead. And for Avatar Aang, we have an arrow that belongs on his forehead. Moving on to round 2, it is the attack round. Finish him. So, geeks, you have 2 minutes. Please explain to me why Aang is not the magic messiah that most successfully held back the darkness. Begin.
Avatar, The Last Airbender, pretty cool title. Better and more accurate title? Kids on day passes. You got Cancer Kid fighting the kid with pink eye. Was that too soon? Was that too soon? No, that was pretty accurate, wasn't it?
And you also got to look at who these guys are fighting against, this darkness that they're fighting against. In Avatar, they're fighting against a guy who controls fire. They're fighting against light. These guys are the bringers of darkness. These guys are the bad guys. You're just looking at it from the wrong perspective.
So it's not really a fair comparison we're making between Aang and Harry. Aang had his race wiped out while he was hiding. Harry had his parents murdered. The person we should really be comparing Aang to is Anne Frank.
Oh, this will be a good one.
Wait.
Hold on. I want to hear this.
When we are fully offensive.
Please finish, and then after Lenny is done, then you can throw shit at him.
Both of them were young children who went into hiding as their people had genocide committed against them by a ruler that was bent on world destruction. The main difference is Anne bravely suffered through every day, keeping her diary, and had the constant fear of discovery. Where Anne got to pass the time in the blink of an eye, only coming to when he recreated the sinking of the Titanic. Mind you, he only sank a canoe, not an ocean liner. So even there, he wasn't that good.
Well, trash, I'm going to give a point to the geeks for trash talk. Are you guys done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
That's done. Okay, moving over to the nerds. Nerds, same question. Please explain to me why Harry Potter is not the magic messiah that most successfully held back the darkness. You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Because Harry Potter doesn't do I mean, really, if you want to talk about Harry Potter is like that asshole in your group project. You all know the one. He's that who you have 8 meetings before, and you all get together and you talk about it. You divide up this and this and this, and Harry Potter shows up 5 minutes before class and says, "Oh, what can I read?" And you give it to him, and he still gets the A, the asshole. He gets the credit because you know what? He's good. He's a good speaker. And I know that asshole because I am that asshole.
And let's face it, if you think about how it ultimately took all of them to defeat Voldemort, they had to destroy all of his Horcruxes. There were 7 of them. How many did Harry end up taking out? 1. How many did just about all of his other friends take out? Every single other one. It's not Harry, it's his friends.
Seeing as there is a certain light side flavor to tonight's debate, and that holding back the darkness could be considered on a deeper level, holding back the darkness within, I decided to do a little research into Mr. Potter's character. I have provided an excerpt for your enlightenment. Harry Potter and the Thrusting Erotica. Chapter 1. Something about those pants. Harry Potter sighed in frustration at both himself and his snowy white owl Hedwig. Her continuous screeching made it too hard for Harry to continue. He switched off the torch, pulled up his pants, and climbed out from under the sheets. He walked over to her cage and started to stroke her head. "Now, Hedwig, you know I'm not allowed to let you out if Uncle Vernon ever caught us at it again." It goes on from there. I find myself reluctant to continue. Some things simply cannot be unheard. Needless to say, there were a lot of feathers involved, and I have filed a report with Ducks Unlimited. My point is, how can one hold back the darkness while one's familiar is securely attached to one's crotchal region?
I f***ing quit. I'll give a point to the nerds for that. PigMonkey. All right, it is the PigMonkey question, and the PigMonkey question is, in order to be the magic messiah that most successfully held back the darkness, the candidate must have recovered from tragedy, rallied forces, and defeated the legions of badness. Show how the candidate saved their world, conquered evil without losing their innate sense of being good. And so, geeks, you have 2 minutes. Begin.
He f***ing died and came back. Yeah, but Aang needed everybody's help. Harry did it by himself, just like Jesus.
We can all agree that the saving the world and the conquering the evil are the obvious facts. I mean, Voldemort ruled the world with an iron fist. He went up after Harry. He no longer did. You can't really argue that fact. The key to this is doing it without losing his sense of goodness. So let me set the stage. The world is in ruins. Evil appears to have won the day. Harry is about to set on a mission that he has no idea how he's going to fulfill. He thinks it's doomed, and even if he managed to do everything, he's pretty sure he's going to die. Even with his hormones racing at the age of 16, adrenaline pumping through his blood, he still doesn't bang Ginny. Hey, Bristol Palin, that's what abstinence is.
He's had to live with this his whole life, and he's got this little piece of fucking Voldemort inside of him. He's living with the darkness the entire time.
Okay, Moving over to the nerds, please show how the candidates saved their world, conquered evil, without losing their innate sense of goodness. You have 2 minutes, begin.
Holy is this question not catered to Aang? I mean, really, how does he do it? Well, he comes back from tragedy. He's like Martian Manhunter, who has had everyone else he knows and loves wiped out. And he doesn't bitch about it every 5 minutes. Now...
We have a token being turned in. Geeks, what do you care to address?
That Aang doesn't complain about it. Bull. That one whole episode is dedicated to Aang complaining to his past avatars that he has to kill another human being.
So, Brian, what you're telling me is that he spends a whole episode trying to figure out how to save the world without losing his sense of goodness? Which of course brings it to the final point of how he did that, is he did it by learning a new type of bending where he energy bends, where he does not have to kill. He does not have to compromise his integrity or his sense of goodness because he changes the person with the power of love.
Okay. Okay, moving on to who would win in a fight. So, Geeks, you have 2 minutes. Please explain to me how Harry Potter would beat up Aang in a fight. Begin.
The key to this fight, I would have to say, is versatility. I mean, Aang has those little moves. He can influence the 4 elements, which is great. But Harry has a whole lot of things he can do. He can teleport. I mean, in their world they call it apparating, but I know fucking teleporting when I see it.
In order to actually hit anybody, these bender people need to flip around like a fucking retarded monkey for like 5 minutes just so they can shit a rock at somebody. Dude.
Oh, we have an arrow being turned in. A token. What point would you care to address?
That benders have to flip around for a minute to get anything done. Generally speaking, it tends to be one quick movement are your basic bending things. And in the case of Aang, generally it's a breath. It's like...
In the Harry Potter world, they have, vocalless spells, which means Harry doesn't even have to go puh and you're f***ed. And we also have Petrifus Totalis, which means you can't move, which means Aang can't jump around and do his dance moves. There is one way, and I will admit this, there is one way when Aang wins a fight between Harry Potter and Aang. It's when he makes a wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Ending on the cancer joke and moving over to the nerds, please explain to me a scenario in which Avatar Aang would beat up Harry Potter in a fight. You have 2 minutes, begin.
Well, Aang is a being of love and nonviolence. He would talk to Harry and resolve their issues. But knowing how Harry's a horse f***er, he'd want to prepare him for that. So what he would do is first he would use his airbending to blow all of Harry's clothes off, which is fine because he wanted to pose naked with that horse anyway. Then he would use his waterbending to give him a nice clean enema. Then he would use his firebending just to make sure everything was nice and clean down there. You know, no stray hairs. Then he would take a nice big horse dick sized piece of rock. And, well, then that's probably the end of the fight. You don't want that I should go on.
Stop encouraging him, please!
Okay, here's how it would go, kids. Before Harry would have the chance to call a friend and ask Hermione to save his sorry codependent ass, he would be spinning in a giant fiery avalanche ball of meteorological badassery.
What it really boils down to is that while Harry Potter speaks his spell and says Spectro Patronum, in the time it's taking him to say that, Aang bitch smacks him with a boulder.
All right. we are moving on to our final main round, and that is the scrap. It'll be Harry Potter starting this, so if there's anything that you guys have heard mentioned that you would care to bring up, now's the time to do it. 5 minutes of open debate, begin.
I would just like to point out, of the two people, our person can fly in a storm without ending up in an iceberg.
But we don't see Harry Potter meditating for 100 years and then becoming an ultimate badass.
That's not meditating, that's becoming Walt Disney.
That was...
I'm giving a point for Walt Disney trash talk. Please continue. I'm enjoying myself.
When both are called to battle, Harry reluctantly accepts it and then starts his training. Aang runs off and hides so the world is like under for 100 years.
But what would have happened if Aang had have not disappeared for 100 years is that he would have been wiped out with the rest of the airbenders, and he never would have had the opportunity.
That's handy way of saying it, but
That's called serendipity, bitches.
Woo! Aang's job was to keep balance in the world. He up, hid for 100 years. He came back, he wasn't holding back the darkness, he was cleaning up his own mess that he left behind.
That's like giving us 100 years of Nickelback and then saying, here's 20 minutes of the Beatles.
If he had not disappeared for 100 years, then it would have been an eternity of Nickelback.
One Nickelback song is an eternity of Nickelback.
So you're saying that if
Amen.
he didn't go and freeze himself in some fucking rock like Han Solo, that he would have just fucking died and the world would have ended?
If all of the other Master Airbenders could not fight off the Fire Nation under Sozin's Comet, then how was an untrained Avatar supposed to do it?
All right, it is time for the final words. Final words, nerds.
Definitions. Avatar, noun. A manifestation of a deity in bodily form on earth. Potter, noun. One who makes pottery.
Final words, geeks.
Remember this spell when you're going to sleep tonight. Humidum pullum.
It's a moist chicken spell. It is time to render your decision. You've heard the arguments. Is the magic messiah who most successfully held back the darkness, Avatar Aang, and the nerds? Or is the magic messiah that most successfully held back the darkness, Harry Potter and the Geeks? Well, you know what? I hereby declare the magic messiah that most effectively held back the darkness to be Avatar Aang. Thank you for tuning in to Geeks vs. Nerds. Please tune in for the next show. Thank you,
Old Godzilla was hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground when suddenly Batman burst from the shade and hit Godzilla with a bat grenade. Godzilla got pissed and began to attack, but didn't expect to be blocked by Shaq, who proceeded to open up a can of Shaq Fu when Aaron Carter came out of the blue and he started beating up Shaquille O'Neal. Then they both got flattened by the Batmobile, but before he could make it back to the Batcave, Abraham Lincoln popped out of his grave and took an AK-47 out from under his hat